right, we're back again, Houston, Texas, near Rice University, doing a preventative kind of restoration on a double-decker Chasetop that's starting to rust. These things are very expensive. They're custom made, so if you can save them and they're still functional, the primary purpose is to keep the rain out. It's worth the endeavor to go ahead and put a little bit of money into that. These things currently today will get quoted out for a double-decker. As you can see here, you got the bottom portion that goes over the top of the chase, or top of the masonry crown, and then you got the secondary layer up top. This has no animal guard, which we're going to go ahead and put an animal screen around it, wrap this area here with an animal screen. But as I was getting back to these things, since they're custom made, today's prices with what the metal's doing, because this is September of 2022, these things will get quoted out between $1,500 and $3,000. And if you get the peaked one with the ribs, they can even get a little bit more expensive. They can get, but anyways, if this is functional, it's potentially worth saving some money and just getting it to where it's not rusting through. This top here, I'm looking at the where it's been soldered and riveted. I'm not seeing that's rusted through. And on the bottom side, we'll come down here, looking up, no rust holes coming through. So this thing is still in excellent condition, with the exception of the top having a sheen of rust on it. The reason why the animal guard is important, I don't know if you can see here, but when you don't have a screen here, and we're not talking about the flue right now, we're just talking about in this cavity, what happens is you get squirrels and birds. They bring in nesting material, and this is an example of that. Now, this is not very much at this point in time. You got some moss, you got some other debris, but what'll happen is somebody's put a screen on top of the flue to keep anything from getting down there. They've put some pieces of brick to weigh it down, and they've sealed it in place with some type of caulking sealant, as you can see here. But what will happen is, a lot of times they'll put that nesting material on top of this, and so that could ultimately catch on fire if the customer is burning. So that's why you want to have this kind of, you certainly want to have the flue sealed up or screened up with a spark arrestor animal guard. You don't want anything getting down in there, because that's a major pain in the rear end, especially if they die. And you don't want them building nests, bringing particulate on top of that, because it's a potential fire hazard. And then also you want to have the screen put here to prevent, that from occurring, the stuff here from occurring inside here. We'll go ahead, what we're going to do, what is on the agenda for today is we'll go ahead and clean up the other side of the Chasetop. We're going to go ahead and knock off the sheen of rust. We're going to go ahead and prime it, and then we're going to, the primer typically dries 30 minutes, right at 30 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and put on the animal screening around the perimeter of this, and then we'll come back and put on an enamel paint, so that we'll have two layers of paint on this, and give it probably, as long as it's kept up with every 5 to 10 years, this thing lasts indefinitely. So, and then also on the other side, which I'll film when I get on the other side on the roof, there's a cricket that's bare metal. We're going to do the same thing with it. We're going to prime and paint that also. I'll film that when I'm there. This is very important. Most people, it's high. It's kind of a pain to get to. Your average homeowner doesn't have a ladder tall enough to get up here, but you really don't want this to continue, because these things are extremely expensive, and this is entirely preventable with a little bit of TLC. So we'll be back in a second. All right, I don't know if you can see, I've got some shadow on my phone. I went ahead and hit the top surface first off with a little wire brush, knocking off any bigger particulate. Then I just hit it with some steel wool. So now I'm going to brush it off with a horsehair brush, and then I'm going to put on the layer primer. And it's got to be metal primer that will adhere to metal, in particular galvanized metal. And also primer that's rated for, if we still have a slight rust on it, that'll still cling to that, which the primer I'm using, I'll show you in a minute, is good for. All right, we're up on the roof. We primed the top of the Chasetop. We're going to go ahead and prime the edges now that we've got a better angle. Prime some of the drip edge. This is the bare metal sheet cricket that I'm going to prime and paint while I'm up here. Those things are kind of expensive. Why not get it taken care of, preventing potential rusting? Once again, this is the material that I'm using. It's just something bought across the counter at Home Depot. If you read closer in, it's good for clean metal. It's also slightly rusted metal, so this should be sufficient. It's a new container. I'll go ahead and stir that up, make sure that all the stuff at the bottom is mixed into the paint, and then I'll go ahead and prime the rest of this while I'm up on the roof, and then we will move on to the next step. Once again, this is all preventative, saving the customer money in the long run. All right, what do we think? Primed and painted the cricket. Didn't prime or paint the counter flashing though, because that wasn't something I said I was going to do. I did get up underneath of it though a little bit. Primed, painted, lid, and all the surface area that water can stand in the drip edge of the double-decker Chasetop. And what we used, I don't have a close-up of the can with a primer, but or maybe I already took that, but this is what we use for the top coat. Also, if you can see here, we went ahead and put a 1/4-inch screen all the way around. So you can see the back side and see this top, or the I guess that's the southern side. Use primarily 5/16" self-tapping screws with 1-inch washers. So probably use, I want to say, about 20 of those all the way around. So nothing should be getting in there. Now I will say this, if you have raccoons are dexterous. I've seen raccoons take chimney caps off of chimneys. So if you got a mama raccoon that's wanting to get into something like this, if there's a way, there's a will. Down here in the Houston area and probably all across the country, raccoon removal, especially when they die inside the fireplace, is something that I do quite a bit of. It's not a very pleasant job, but doing stuff like this with the hardware cloth around the perimeter, having the screen on the chimney cap, having a proper chimney cap on the flue helps keep critters out of your fireplace, which is certainly what you want, because doing dead animal removal is costly. A lot of these animals are flea infested, so by the time you get anything done, you also have to treat your whole house for fleas. So getting hardware cloth, animal guard, spark arresters on the top of your chimneys, no matter what type of chimney you have. This is a traditional, but if you have a prefab or whatnot, you want to animal proof your fireplace. It costs pretty decent money once an animal gets in. Squirrels, birds, ducks, snakes, possums, raccoons. I think that's all types of birds. I think that's pretty much the limit. I've even heard of people getting owls in their fireplace, which I've seen some owls, but I've never seen an owl in a fireplace. But anyways, looks pretty good. This should last at least 5 years, I would say. Painting on an exterior down here in the Houston area doesn't last indefinitely, so it's not something you can do once and forget about, but it's a good start today. All right, we're out. Please like, subscribe. Leave any comments if you have a suggestion on how this could have been done differently, or maybe you think there's a better way to do it. I'm always open to hear the new and improved methodologies. Never too old to learn a new trick. Once again, I greatly appreciate your viewing, and please subscribe.